You know what we should do? OTA predictions. That's what we should do. We should do the OTA predictions because of that. We haven't done those in a while. We didn't do them last time because of just life and timing. So let's do the OTA predictions. What do we need? What do we want? And what do we think is going to be worthwhile for OTA? I hate that it does that with newest. It does by newest variant rather than just like newest release. But whatever. It's July 15th. What do we think actually gets added, changed, adjusted, etc. in the OTA/patch? I guess the good thing in all of this is that it could end up being, we can focus OTA changes as being changes that also affect card mechanics, because typically OTAs are just numbers, but patches, they can change it, what a card actually does. I think another thing to look at too, I like very often going over to Untapped, and by looking at Untapped and most recent or good or bad or indifferent played cards there too, I think that's a good one to work with. So if we look at last 30 days, very often they'll do their rankings based on the top half of Infinite because people are still climbing. It's got to be all ranks 70 plus. Go down to the very bottom of cards that need some love. Also remember, series is important. So certain changes, like thinking about a change for Namor, right? Early series card. You can't make it too powerful because of the early game experience. I could see Rescue finally getting love. I think it's just, it's one of those cards that is constantly neglected. I'll put Rescue in the list here because Rescue's a 4/4, easily could be a 4/5, right? Because I don't mind her as a card, right? Like as a card, giving the +5 to itself is good, but you have to play in that location. I think that for it to do it to itself, the solution to this card is changing how the on reveal works of if you play a card at this location next turn, double its power. Now we got a cool card. You can leave it at 4/4, honestly, because you're wanting to play this with hand buff and deck buff. Right, Black Panther with an extra step, but the extra step requires you to play it on turn 4. I don't think the solution is to make Rescue a straight up 4/5. I don't think that does it. I think that's fair. I think we leave it at a 4/4, but then it works into a new deck. Do you think any cards get reworked to be end of turn to help the new archetype? I don't know what card would end up being worthy of making it end of turn to add into the whole group that currently exists, plus the rest of the cards that are gonna be like end of turn archetype is basically continually getting stronger and stronger and stronger throughout the end of the season, throughout the rest of this season and into next season. So it won't be at its peak until mid-August, mid to late August. Kang, I mean, here's the thing with Kang. I've almost lost hope. I did see the answer that he's tested a new version of Kang before. I just don't think that if he's said recently that he's tested it, that he's put it into playtest yet. Like for him to build a version is different than for it to go to playtest version of like put it out into the group of playtesting. I don't know if Kang gets worked on yet. But if it does, I'm still wanting it to be, I'm gonna use the same reference because it's still great. Kang 2/0, skip the next turn, must be played before turn 5. Something that messes with time. And I like the idea of him skipping either turns 3, 4, or 5. So it's not an energy float. It's just, you go from turn 2 to turn 4, or turn 3 to turn 5, or even worse, turn 4 to turn 6. I think that that's a scary card, very spicy, but it stays on the board. Other cards that probably need some adjustment. I could make a case for Mojo going to 2/3. White Widow, I think White Widow's at a point where it could come back to its old mechanic, honestly. I think it would be great in its old mechanic. Well, you know what? Okay, so wait, first off, let's think about the season in which we're in, right? Because if we're in the, first steps season, do any of the original Fantastic Four cards or cards associated with the Fantastic Four universe, better yet, do any others get adjusted? Because we know they recently adjusted Mr. Fantastic, the 3/1 giving the +3s. I don't think they adjust the Thing because it's the base vanilla card. It has to stay at 4/6. I think, yeah, that guy. I think Invisible Woman is fine as she is. Human Torch, you can't do anything to Human Torch. So who else is in that universe? Silver Surfer, who's in a strong position. I don't think he needs to get adjusted. Dr. Doom, I don't think they adjust. Doom 2099, maybe. Galactus? Do we want a Galactus buff though? That's, I think, the bigger question. Is that a card that we go, you know what needs love? Galactus. Like Galactus to 6/7 to prepare for next season in a way. You know what I mean? They should revert him and make the Doom bots 1 cost. I don't think making them killmongerable is the answer. The problem is getting them out, because when you get the combo of as is, play him down on turn 4, 1 drops. Turn 5, another drops. Turn 6, another drops. 4 cards that have 15 power. For that 4 drop to justify 4 spots on the board as a turn 4 drop. 4 spots for 15 power, I don't necessarily agree with. 4 spots for 18 power, I do. I think just having the Doombot go to 4-1 is fine. What if you just made it exactly 2 cards? Because the trade-off then, yeah, just like Thena. Because the trade-off is you get 1 less Doombot, but because you get 1 less Doombot, you get the ability to play other cards. So then it ends up being a 4-10? No, 4-9 over the board. But if you're filling the board too fast, you lose Doombot and Doom value. Right. Imagine you play Thena on turn 2, 2 cards on turn 3, boom, boom. Doom 29 on turn 4. Doom 2 cards on turn 5, that adds 3, bump, bump, bump. 2 cards on turn 6, that adds 3, bump, bump, bump. That's 10 cards on the board. Yet alone, if you add in Dr. Doom, that would be the last 2 cards. That would be a full board at 12. So then you need to play Energy Ramp on turn 5. I actually like that. I like that. Let's add Dr. Doom. I think that that's fun. Should it be 2 or less cards or exactly 2 cards? 2 or less just so you don't get punished. Okay, I can live with that. Other cards that want love here that like jump out to me. Jean Grey just came out in Rivals as Phoenix as a 3-4. I think Jean Grey could afford to be a 3-5. Jean Grey being a 3-5, I think helps her tremendously because you want to play around her. Well, sorry, you want to build around her. And I think at 3-4, she just doesn't justify herself. Just have her go to 3-5. Ghost, I don't know what they could ever do to Ghost. Like Ghost just needs a full rework, but I have no idea what to make Ghost. Ghost is a card that just deserves different and a completely different ability. It does nothing. It does nothing. Even in the decks where you want it to do its thing, it doesn't really matter. Like, it's cut everywhere. It doesn't deserve anything. I still want the Rock Slide change I wanted forever ago of make it a 3-cost card, end of turn, and then every turn it adds a rock into your opponent's deck. I still want that Rock Slide. I'm not gonna include that in here, but let me make that clear. That's a card that I could see switched to end of turn. That would work. Master Mold could be a 2-3, maybe. Topaz should probably be a 3-5 also, but I think Zorn is a very underappreciated card as well. I think it's a card that doesn't get as much love as it should. I think it's a very good card. Nomura is an interesting one. Like, how do we feel about a like 4-5 Nomura? Nomura right now is a 5-7, but give her the ability to be Zabu'd. I think it could be intriguing. Zabu, I don't think's gotta go. You could justify Zabu as a 1-1, but I don't know if it's necessary. Jennifer Kale, the new card who kind of like fell a little short. Could you justify her as a 2-3? So Psylocke is next turn and Jennifer Kale is future turns. Just thinking if that's diverse enough to make that good. Or does it need to be something that's like a 1-1? A 1-1 activate, next turn you get +1 energy. I think that makes Jennifer Kale a very good card because it would be the only, well, would it be the only 1-cost card that gives energy? But if you draw it late, that's its downside. Kind of like that, actually. I don't think it kills Psylocke. Psylocke is a very specific play pattern. Yeah, I think making Jennifer Kale a 1-1 is intriguing. I think Infinity Ultron doesn't get the respect he needs yet. His 2-cost stones helped, but he still needs more. So I'm gonna take a part of a past recommendation with him and I'm gonna make him a 4-5. I think reducing his cost fixes a bunch of him and then makes it a really fun card. I'm telling you, he's a card that wants to be good in Marvel Snap and the devs just need to figure out a better way to do it. And I think it's his cost. That was the original proposal I had, was 4-5 with different stone adjustments, but they made him a 5-6 instead. I'm trying to think of cards also that beg participation, right? Like Prodigy is one that begs participation, but you need to play him late to make him do the thing. You never play Prodigy early. And I think that might be one worthwhile at making like a 3-5. So that way, if you have to play it early, it's just vanilla. But if you play it, if you hold on to it, it has basically double its value. I think 3-4 just isn't strong enough to justify. Esme is another that like outside of negative, right? Outside of negative, do you see Esme anywhere? I think Herbie's good. Yeah, I think Herbie's worth it. Esme Surfer sometimes. Okay. Sometimes, maybe, kind of, sort of. He's just not good enough. I think a nerf eligible one could be Baron Zemo. I think Baron Zemo could be nerf worthy. Make him a 3/4 because he gets another card on the board. Yeah, it's their lowest cost. Their lowest cost more often than not is the same thing as a Sinister clone. I still don't understand why they changed Ironheart. There was literally no reason to do that outside of bring attention to Ironheart. Pre-nerf White Widow was the -3 that wasn't destroyable. Well, sorry, that didn't automatically destroy itself in a full lane, right? With White Widow, it was just 0 -3 with no ability and turns to 0 power if filled. Oh, it was an ongoing. That's right. What if you did White Widow as a 2/1 with her old Widow's Kiss? So it's a 0 -3, but this is a 2/1. White Widow Green Goblin was so annoying on turn 5. Yeah. What if you go a different direction? Go back to the old Widow's Kiss as 0 -3 ongoing, but you make her 3 cost. What about White Widow at a 3 cost? Have her do like 3/1. It goes from being a 2/2 to a 3/1. And then the Widow's Kiss, 0 -3 to a 0 -4 to 0 -3. And then how was it worded in the past? Like the first version of the Widow's Kiss, because Widow's Kiss has seen some changes. Oh no, technically it was a 0/0 with the ongoing. That's what it was. It was registered as a 0/0. Okay, we'll add White Widow. Dormammu, either base power buff or cheaper rituals. I don't think there's anything wrong with Dormammu. Like I'm still on this bandwagon that negative should not be as good as it is. I don't know what you do to fix it. Like, I don't think negative is the answer. Gore. No, you get you Enchantress way too early to make her a 3/3. If the answer's Gore, no, I don't think it's to change anything about actual Mr. Negative. It's about changing the staple cards of it. Because Gore doesn't really truly benefit the Ravonna synergy as much. It benefits being negatived. If you took Gore in this deck, you'd have to give him +1 for every on reveal. You'd have to make him like a 6/4. What do we think of that? Gore 6/4 +1 power. So it goes from 6 -1 to 6/4. I just want Jane to be able to be buffed by Mjolnir. Oh my God, that'd be amazing. No, don't nuke Iron Man. He's the perfect card. Literally, I think he's just perfect. Is Lasher the reason C2 is good? Like, legitimate question there. Legitimate question. Is Lasher the reason that C2 is good? Because the +3 is strong enough to make it relevant. I don't know. I don't think it's a problem child deck, though. You know? I don't think it's there yet. I also find it funny that Bullseye is completely separated from traditional discard in this, just because of how different they are. This one wins more, but this one wins more cubes. So the surprise, if you will, but not really a surprise. The RNG played in. Think of any deck, like, I'm just looking at this for like deck reference of like, here, this is relevant, this is important, this is something. I still think Ajax is overpowered, but I don't know if he's nerf worthy, you know? I still think Ajax should be a 5/5. I just don't think, you know, it's a good deck, but it's not a problem child deck. Commonalities of Surfer decks. I think C2 is way more of an issue than C3. Yeah, C2 is way more of an issue. Not one worth nerfing. No, it's one to keep an eye on. Juggernaut shouldn't be a 4 cost. No. I think you could justify him at 3/2 though. Yeah, he's an incredibly strong card, but I think if we go with adjusting Juggernaut to 3/2, does that make anything else worth it? Like, is it too good? Because then you can throw it into Cerebro too. C6 Juggernaut incoming? No, not 4/6. No, I'd say 3/2. This is where we're at right now. Gore and Juggernaut are the only nerfs I have in this list, right? I mean, could we figure out something for Mantis finally that's not a piece of crap? Like, that's a card that deserves an entire rework. But they've gone through like several iterations now. What could you like, because I think about Guardians of the Galaxy and the synergy comes from hitting it in the lane in which your opponent plays something. What if copy the card here -1 cost? If you power buff the copy card, you have to make her a more expensive card. Cost reduction is not on brand for a Guardian. No, +4 is what's on brand for a Guardian. Giving +4 to a card. What if you just did that? If your opponent played any cards here this turn, copy one of them into your hand with +4 power and make Mantis a 1/1. Make her like Nebula at the end of turn. If your opponent didn't play a card here Add the highest power card they played to your hand. No, that's too much. She would be better than Rocket. Yeah, yes and no, because you have to get your opponent's card. So if you drop this too late, like on turn 5, sure, you could get their 5-cost card that they played, but it's a 5-cost card you'd have to play that has +4 power on it. It's still an early play. I'm gonna add Mantis to this. Yeah. I think you have to make it a 1/1 if you do this though. That way it's got the same synergy plays as the rest of the Guardians, the +4. Mantis restoring removed abilities. Oh man, that'd be funny. You still wouldn't play her, but that'd be a really great cheeky thing to have. I don't think anything else really like super gens at me. There's no 6-cost Guardian, by the way. If your opponent plays a card here this turn, reduce its power by 4. I see what you're getting at by like having it be a 6/6. That's just straight up a 6/10. I just don't think it's strong enough. But I think giving that copy of a card to your hand because you hit it right, that would be good. If Electro was activate, it would just prevent 1-costs from being played in that lane. You just wouldn't play in the lane. It's a defense card at that point, rather than a reaction card with Destroy. I remember hearing somebody, I don't know if it was in my chat or if it was in somebody else's chat, but somebody mentioned the idea of America Chavez having a variation on her old ability. Now, I have been consistent on saying that old Chavez was bad for the game, right? Having the 6/9 that always was drawn on turn 6 was bad for the game. But what if there was a way that gave you something in between? And I remember somebody saying something along the lines of, you can't draw this on turn 6. And I found that very interesting because the only way that that effect ends up having any strength is if it's still in the deck going into turn 6 and you can't top deck it. It forces it to choose one of the other 2 cards. And I liked that idea. I thought it was a healthy alternative to what she is, which is right now basically nothing. Look at the top card, give it +2 or put it on the bottom of your deck. Man, that would be so fun. I just don't think that they have the programming set for that to be an on-reveal that then you have to make a decision in the middle of the sequencing. I think you just do that to Chavez. You add the you can't draw this on turn 6. What if she's changed to an activate so you can choose to buff your final turn top deck for free? I mean, you could still give it activate in that ability. Activate 1/2, give the top card of your deck +2 power. You can't draw this card on turn 6. I like that. Wait, I'm missing something in here. Infinity Ultron, that was what's missing in here. Make her end of turn. I don't think there's a lot of cards that need nerfs. That's a great thing. I think Gore is worthy to help the negative control. And Juggernaut is like optional. I don't see the card being really oppressive. I think that's good. So here's what we've got. When all is said and done, it's a list of 10 buffs and 2 nerfs. That's it. America Chavez, we have looking at activate, give the top card of your deck +2 power. You can't draw this card on turn 6. Mantis goes down to a 1/1 with the ability, if your opponent played any cards here this turn, copy 1 into your hand and give it +4 power. So that way it has the same synergy as the rest of the Guardians, kind of, sort of, with the +4 if you hit, right? Jennifer Kale, go down to a 1/1 for the 1 extra energy. So 1/1/1 all across the board. White Widow, 3/1 that throws the Widow's Kiss in its old form to the other side. So it's a 0/0 ongoing. This has -3 power. Disable this ability if your side of this location is full. It was the 2-cost version of that got nerfed into the destroying ability of Widow's Kiss. But this is just a dead card right now. So I think making it 3/1 with the ongoing Widow's Kiss, that feels good. That they can still disable, it's still 0 -3, but they're gonna fill up the lane, and then there's at least 3 cost synergy here too. Juggernaut is one of the 2 nerfs, having him go down to a 3/2. Jean Grey going up to a 3/5. Doom 2099 exclusively changes in his ability to, if you played 2 or less cards. Actually, wait, no, we have to change that though, because it has to be played either 1 or 2 cards. You still have to play cards. Otherwise, you could float 0 cards and it would still drop a Doombot if you played 1 or 2 cards. Rescue, on reveal, if you play a card at this location next turn, double its power. So that way you have 3 turns or different ways to buff it up first before you drop it on turn 4 or turn 5. I'm bringing back the Kang change of 2-0 on reveal, skip the next turn, must be played before turn 5. Infinity Ultron, I think, should be a 4-5 with all of his 2-cost stones. Gore is the second nerf of the crew, where he goes to being a 6-4 with the ongoing of +1 power. And then Galactus, just because it's that season, he goes up to a 6-7. I like those. I like this group a lot. We're gonna publish that. What do you guys think? What do you think in the chat? Okay, maybe, kind of, sort of. There it goes off into the world. Like, share, you know the drill. Do the things. That means I finally get to, not you. I finally get to eat my sandwich though.